I am Brian S. Arnold here, and I have my good new friend here, Raj Goodman Anand, and he says he is here to help us drive customer engagement in a post-pandemic world. Is that right, Raj?
Absolutely, yes. Can't wait.
I can't wait either. Well, we shall see. We shall see if he can do that for us today on this episode of The Authority. How you doing, my friend?
I'm great. It's turning to 9 p.m. in the UK, and I must say I'm feeling fresh and full of energy today. So it's been good to kind of jump on this call today, Brian, and thanks for having me.
Well, it's great to have you here. And we want to dive right in. And well, before we dive in, let's go right into who you are first, personally and then professionally.
Sure. So I'll like to start by saying I'm a father and a husband. That's just the way I like to start this thing. But I'm also the founder of Goodman Lantern. We are a team of native English content writers based in the UK. We started 6 years back, and we kind of grown really well over the last 2 years or so. This is my third business. I've sold one business in the past, which is a good exit for me. And this business, I'm looking to kind of grow further with a very strong social mission behind the business
All
as
right.
well.
Awesome, awesome. So what is your current project that you're working on at the moment?
So, well, within Goodman Lantern, we are at the moment in scale up time. So we have kind of been growing at 1.5x year on year at the moment. So we are in that sort of phase of rapid growth, and that means we're hiring a lot of people. We are actually looking at ways we can scale the whole business a bit better, more managers, more mid-level, mid-tier managers as well. So overall, it's just a lot of work to get the team all set up and make sure they're empowered to grow further.
That's awesome, man. Great stuff. So tell us right now what your daily routine is.
Well, I start about 6 o'clock. As a father with a 3 months old daughter, the first thing is to kind of get the daughter ready for for a routine, for example, and then at 9 o'clock I jump on my first call. I do about 5 to 7 calls on Zoom, either with customers or team members, and my philosophy is that I'm not the kind of person who likes to work in the business. I like to work on the business. So I'm very much
Mhm.
focused on, delegation. It's about how can we scale up further to really empower the team to with the learning with the company culture to really focus on that so we can all grow together.
Yes, that's great stuff. That's great stuff. So we got that out of the way. So let's dive into it. Let's get rid to it. Well, first my question is this: before we get is we're going to talk about how to drive customer engagement effectively in the post-pandemic world. But let me ask you this: is there an issue that you see right now, currently, in driving customer engagement? What does your data tell you right now, as far as that is concerned? Right now that we're in the pandemic.
Well, the answer lies in the fact that, say, before the beginning of this year, our mindset was that it's going to be an amazing year. We're going to go and do all these conferences. We're going to go meet customers, shake their hands. We're going to, close deals. But comes pandemic in March, as in the UK, it was in March time, remember,
Yeah.
and we were basically locked in. We couldn't go out meet customers. Teams were working from homes, for example. There was no more office sort of opportunities because we were all working from a place which was safe for us and our families.
Right.
Things kind of changed rapidly, and to address the situation, we had to be ready for remote working, remote business development, remote interaction and engagement with customers. And that is the fundamental difference between what we have today and the future. Even if we go back to some form of normality, there will be some sort of hangover from this sort of remote working, less traveling, working from the comfort of your home using Zoom and Teams and stuff like that to kind of really encourage that to happen. So we will see that in the future as well. And so we got to be thinking about how do we go more digital with our way of working overall.
Okay, so let's dive into that then. So now we got there. How do we drive customer engagement effectively now in the post-pandemic world when we're a little further along, a little maybe past July 2021, and we see things that are, what are you seeing that might be still trending or still there, and how do we do that? How do we do it now effectively in the post-pandemic world?
Well, before I jump into the answer, I want to kind of give you a bit of a background on why this makes sense, why I'm the kind of the authority, as it were, in the
Sure.
space of digital. So before I started Goodman Lantern, I used to work for a company in Europe where I helped them grow from 7.5 million euros of revenue to 45 million, and that was on
Uh-huh.
the back of telling stories, really driving in the ability to kind of narrate ways to resonate with the customers. At the end of the day, especially in B2B in marketing and selling, people buy from people. And that's true for B2B. That's true for B2C. Whether it's Richard Branson from Virgin, or whether it is Elon Musk trying to sell to the government. At the end of the day, people buy from people. So storytelling is super important to resonate and to buy from people, and that's how I was able to sell more. I could build stuff after having a chat with the customer, get their get their sort of their trust and their belief in what we're building and we're growing, and then when they come in with their minds and their hearts on what we're trying to do, the money comes in very quickly as well. So in the post-pandemic world, where we can't really meet people, or well, not as much as we did last year, for example,
Right.
we need to come be ready for this mindset of digital first. And with that, what I mean is to be able to narrate your story in the form of content, whether it's writing, whether it's videos, whether it is ebooks, whether it's articles, to be able to tell a story which is true to the company, the founders, the teams which are there. And I think that's really important. People kind of forget that is the most fundamental important part, to be able to kind of sell and to be able to kind of get opportunities with new customers, and even sell to current customers. People actually buy from people they like. They recommend them, and more so if they like them and like working with them.
Stories. So I like that. I like that. Do you find that you all is that where everything begins with the story, that you think a story of people or story of how things work, how things begin? Do you think people are encapsulated by that? Because I can just give me one example here. It's like I see this a lot on TikTok, where you have this one person who will say, I don't have any followers, but here's my story. There was a person the other day who she said she got off her sobriety, and she went on a 1 week binge of going back on drugs and stuff. And all of a sudden she got 1 million likes. She's getting all these comments and people trying to help her out. And people resonated with her story. But now she's pretty much a little bit of a celebrity now just by telling her story. Do you think that it can happen that quickly with people engaging with you because you tell your story in a very authentic way?
Well, if I look at examples of gurus today in the digital space, whether it is, for example, let's say Gary Vee, for instance, or we
Yeah,
talk about people who are like Seth Godin. All these people start with, the first thing to start with is, what have they been through. Gary talks about his experience of him scaling up his wine tasting or wine company which he had built, for instance. He talks about how he made it there, how he grew it up from nothing to the next level, for example. And at
yeah,
in the back of that, he's able to then sell, the Gary V media company. I think it's Vaynerchuk Media,
yeah,
and I think people buy from him not because he can sell wine, or he can, for example, do the best landing page or the best website or the best social media strategy. They buy from him because they believe in his energy, his the way he explains things, the way he tells the story. Because people resonate with you when they believe in you. And it's, people sort of talk about, oh, it's B2C, it's B2B. I'm like, no, it's P2P. It's person to person. If you
Mm.
can't connect with people, you can never sell.
So, with that in mind, tell us right now. I guess what you see that's not working. If you go online, you're like, you see somebody write an article, and you're like, no, this isn't working. This is not working. And tell us what you see that not working in your data, or just by your own personal experience.
Well, I think currently what's not working is, for example, like on a daily basis, I have about 25, 30 people adding me on LinkedIn. And
Okay.
first thing they do is they send me a connection request. And the moment you add them, in comes a pitch, a sales pitch, for example. Where they don't talk about me, the potential customer. They talk about what are they offering. And
Right.
and that's not what the idea really is. We're not trying to sell our services or products. We're trying to solve the problem for the end customer. That's what the real ambition of what we're trying to do is as suppliers. So I think the more we can kind of talk about people and their problems and how can we fix their problems, that's when we can really help get more opportunities, whether it is to kind of collaborate, to help them, to form customer client relationships, for example. That is all it's all about. It's not about to sell our stuff into customers. It's about helping them solve the problem, make their lives easier, faster, cheaper, and more efficient, for example.
So let me give you. I'm going to give you a little challenge here. Well, no, I'm not sure if it's a challenge. You probably know how to do this, but I'm just thinking about communicating. So communicating. If we were just saying an example of B2C, we're trying to get into this company. We're trying to sell more services. How how would how would you see somebody, or should they? How should they approach it? How should they send an email? How should they send a message? What would you like? What would you rather see them do? Give an example of how that should be done. Is it a story? Are you telling about yourself? How are we doing that?
What does the company do? Sorry, just so that I can form a better example in my
Let's
head.
see. Okay, let me give you an example. Okay, how about a catering company, and they're trying to get catering services for a particular corporation?
Is that sounds more like B2B to me, B2B to me. But I mean, just thinking about, maybe
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so maybe the catering companies sort of sell and
Okay.
get
Yeah.
get more end customers, and that'll be more B2C. But in B2C, it's about understanding, and that's pretty much true for B2B as well, which is what is the proposition of the catering company, which is so unique that people will use them as a catering provider. So first of all, understanding the USP of the business itself. Second thing is, what's the pain point? So good to hear that you have a USP, that you are potentially the
Yeah.
tastiest burgers in town. Awesome. But
Right.
if people are not into burgers and they want, for example, I don't know, pizzas, for example, or they're looking for pastas, then probably that company doesn't work really well. So understand the actual pain points of the consumer. What is it? What is the average Joe want from a catering company, which will really make them say this is amazing. So you got the actual, you know the USP, which is then changed and modified for the pain points of the customer.
Yeah.
Next thing is building trust. How do you build trust with the consumer? So, for example, many companies offer, freebies to potential buyers. So they say, listen, why don't we give you a sample of what we can create for you, for example, or why don't you come to one of our cooking sessions and see what it's like to be in one of our experiencing the actual food or what we prepare for people. And I know I love food. I must say, if I taste the stuff and it's good, I know I'll recommend it. And that's why I do. In London, I love to try different restaurants. If I like them, I go all around talking about the restaurant because that's just passion. Food is my passion. So
Yeah.
why not?
Right. So that's great. That's great. I love what you're saying here. It's great stuff here. Um, I like how you're saying because it reminds me of a story I saw today, actually, on the it was on a Good Morning America here, the show here in the States, and there was this little girl who was driven to help other kids. She's like 10 years old. Help other kids with get gifts for gifts who didn't weren't able to get gifts from from their families or whatever. So she's out there giving gifts, picking up toys, and getting people to fund her project. And her story was, her father was in the service and he passed away, and so she just has this heart of giving more and more to people. And it was like, you know what? That's the person I'm going to give give a donation to. So her story resonated with me. So I'm glad you're giving me more. But this question pops up, like, what if people think like their story has no value? What do you say to people like that? Because I find myself saying like it seems like everybody might have like a sad story or some kind of big story that is that people will resonate. What do you say to people who say that my story isn't really that much to even talk about? Why would somebody buy from me from my story?
I think everybody has a story to tell. We all have had challenges and opportunities in where we are today. Maybe it is at university, maybe it's at school, maybe it's lack of university, maybe it's lack of maybe we're flipping burgers, for example, and we got here. I remember, I mean, just over the weekend, I was at Hilton Hotel in Brighton, where I studied at my university. And in that hotel, we kind of stayed in a very, very, very nice room. And it's close to my heart because my first ever job was actually a waiter in that hotel. So when I kind of
Mm,
went in there, a tear dropped down my cheeks because I was like, this is where I began my career. This is where
yeah.
I started my thing. So even that's a story, for example. It's a small thing and it's personal to me. My wife didn't really get it that time, but now she gets it. But obviously it was for me, that's a story. And if I talk about that, people resonate because everybody has started somewhere and got to where they are today.
So, but that said, but that said, you're still looking at data though, right? So like there's no guarantees to the content that you put out there. So what should you be looking at with the data? Because there's some people who don't know anything about that. They don't know how to interpret that or what have you. So kind of run us through a little bit for a little bit how to interpret the data to adjust what your content from there, and how we should be doing that, system wise, with your customers or with the clients that you have.
Sure thing. I mean, our clients, tend to be small to large organizations. So we got a diverse range. We like to work with sort of the more mid-sized companies at the moment, and that's where we're really focused on.
Okay.
Typically, our customers use us for two different benefits, as it were. Um, if I was to articulate them, one was to um, sell better and grow faster. That's the advantages we really have with a company. And how we do that is we help them by telling them their story in their authentic tone, for example. So we don't want to be a separate company who does something which is not native to their way of being. So we tell their story in the way they will tell if they're writing it down, for example. And second thing we do is to actually do SEO as well. So we actually optimize the content so that it ranks better on things like Google. Now, many companies you work with actually don't have that as their prime focus. And that simply is because, you know, it's a balance between a well-written story resonates with people and just ramming in keywords, for
Yeah.
example. And our experience tells us is that if the story is compelling or the message is compelling, people will come to it and they will read it. And the most important part is actually to write something which is compelling for people, which they will share and visit and spend time on your site for. Because that's the most important part of good content, to spend time consuming it and sharing it. If for example, we only spend time doing keywords on our articles or content like blog or social media, then we might miss a trick there, because
Mm,
then it's only about trying to gamify Google and Bing and other search engines, and that's not what we're into. We really help our consumers write interesting pieces of content which they can then share to lead to more conversations for them, which lead to more leads and then more sales. So at the end of the day, the penny drops when there is sales happening from content, and we really help our customers sell, and that's where the content comes into play. We help them build opportunities and leads, and that comes through good content writing to narrate the story and the brand, and to then also have SEO in there as well as part of the opportunity.
it's great stuff. Great stuff. So I gotta you limit you another quick question about content writing. So long or short form content was better.
Well, I mean, to some extent, the jury's out on it, but at the moment, for example, the flavor, as it were, of search engines is long form content. So I'm talking 2,000 to 2,500 words long content is the flavor at the moment. And that's mainly because a content which is that long allows Google to say that this content has a lot of authority in the space of what they're writing. So if they're writing, for example, about catering companies, as we spoke about earlier. You're writing about catering and how to find your best caterer. And you write about the different elements to search your caterer and then choose one for your anniversary or birthday. Then if that's long enough, there's enough content there to make people grab their attention and really be able to give them the breakdown of how to find a caterer. And how to find a caterer. And at the moment, especially, long form content is preferred for SEO purposes. But again, I'm true to my word when I say that it's not about always about sort of flavor of the month or the year.
Yeah.
It's always about how do you capture people. If the content you write, which is short, gets people to spend time on it, Google will identify that that content is very engaging, and whether it's 500 words or 1,000 words or 10,000 words, if it's engaging and people spend time on it, it will be ranked higher.
So long term, I was in the impression that long form would be like 1,000 words or 750 words or up or 1,000. So you're saying long form is 250 to 500 words for an
It's
article?
2,000,
Okay.
2,500 words. Yeah, so a
2,000.
1,000 words. So
Okay.
yeah, so a
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
thousand
Yeah.
words for us is short. I would say
Yeah.
2,500 is somewhere in the long form. I mean, we've done articles, for example, they're more like essay style, which go to 5,000 to 10,000, for example, as
Okay.
well. And
Okay.
it again depends upon how long you need to get the content uh, optimized for. Sometimes you need those many words to really explain a concept. Sometimes you don't need those many words. So it depends on the context as well, quite a bit.
Okay. I like that. Okay. Okay. So that's some serious stuff, guys. This is serious stuff. Um, yeah, I'm liking this. I'm liking what you're saying. So let me see if I have anything else for you. Do you have a sense already that the content that you're doing is already going to engage with your audience, or is there a process that says, you know what, we have to still figure this out. We have to see what works first before we do that. When you're working with a company, or do you already know, like through your research and like through your system or your process already, that this is going to be pretty good before you do that?
Well, before we begin with any customer engagement, we spend a lot of time on research,
Okay.
researching keywords, competitors, their tone, their core values, mission, vision of the company, the competitive landscape, their end consumer, what is that? What do they like or dislike, for example? So we've got a lot of data and analysis done beforehand. That's on our dime. That's our contribution to the promise we bring to our customers.
Mhm.
And when that happens, we have a very good idea of likes and dislikes based on other comparator content, for example, or also um, a different vertical, for instance. So we can often, use different verticals to try different experiments as well. When it comes to content, Brian, it is a bit of a trial and error situation as well. So you have to try different things. You do a lot of A/B testing as well, and that's part of the content preparation and growth strategies that you have. So we actually do encourage a lot of A/B testing to see what resonates with people better. Sometimes we have a gut feel of what we think is going to work really well. We put it out there and we realize it actually doesn't work. So instead of taking giant steps and writing say 100 essay style blogs and launching them all in one go, we say
Right.
go step by step. Look at the content strategy step by step, to do some experimentation. Launch a couple of them, for example, see the interest levels, for instance, then grow that what works better more and more so. And that's how we build the strategy, for example. This is all in collaboration with the customer. It's very important that we use their insight into their industry and their knowledge alongside our knowledge of content writing and our knowledge of what we do with other customers, for example. So the combination is a winning combination. And we always say collaboration is a key to kind of making this work really well for any client we ever work with.
This is great stuff, guys. So I'm gonna take this point, this little moment to say and encourage people just to go ahead and hire this guy before you try to do this on your own. Don't do this at home, folks. But because it is in depth, it does take work, and but it does work if you do it correctly. And I think you guys got a great system going on here. I do want you to tell us though, for the people who still want to attempt to do this on their own, what tools that you think they should be using when they go through this process, possibly, if you could do that right now for us.
So, I mean, it again comes down to what are they trying to achieve. As I mentioned, we do stuff like content creation for social media, for marketing in general, e-commerce, long form content like ebooks, or white papers, for example. So it kind of varies quite a bit. Saying that, I mean, if you ever want to kind of try out what we do, for example, there's actually a link just now popping up on Brian's screen, which is a free trial actually. So you can actually try us out for free. You sign up to this link, and we will be happy to offer you a free trial, a couple of articles or blogs, for instance, to see what's it like to work with Goodman Lantern and how we bring our insight into to helping you with content itself. So this is a good example. But those are of ways we do this. I mean, there are tons of um, platforms out there which can help you achieve keyword research, for example, comparative landscape, organic versus non-organic traffic, for instance. We recommend using them all. It's not only about the tools itself. It's like being in the kitchen. You have the knives, you have the peeler, you have the vegetables. It's about how do you cut it properly, how do you chop it properly, how do you put it in the pan at the right time, and get the end product out there for you. So, true to my word, I'm a foodie, and I often like to give examples of dishes when I possibly can.
I love it. I love it. So, all right, this is great. This is action packed content here, guys. This is people, because I think a lot of people are more into getting more and more involved with social media, which is great. But content marketing is still there, and it's still a very, very big option, especially if you're doing your website and you need the blog, you need to have just visitors coming through that you don't really have to pay for after a while. So it's just coming to your content because it's in the Google, it's in the search. So people, I want you to hear him say answer this last question. It goes like this, Raj. People hear you now, they see you, they like what you're saying. They have similar goals. Maybe they're writers. Maybe they do it like into content, and they want to engage, help. Maybe either they want to engage with their customers, or they want to help other people engage with their customers with content writing. So, can you tell them in 1 or 2 words, or whatever however you want to say it to the audience, how they can become an authority in this space. And I'll put you front and center.
Well, content is a gift that keeps giving. Unlike other forms of marketing or selling, content is a gift that keeps giving. I think at the end of the day, it's to be authentic in the tone, in the way you talk about the company you're working with, for example, and to really understand their mission, their vision, their core values, and really understand what they're after, and then put that into the form which people understand. At the end of the day, if you write the content which is useful for people, they like what they see, they like to share it, you will get a lot of eyeballs. And eyeballs generally implies you be getting some interesting opportunities, which means interesting leads, interesting sales. And that selling and sales is the lifeline of any company. So effectively, as a copywriter, as a writer, you're helping a company win a lifeline, which is amazing. So guys, keep at it, you know, believe in it, and be authentic as you write the content you're writing for yourself or for your customers.
Great stuff, man. That is awesome. Raj, you're awesome, man. This is this is perfect content. I hope you guys got a lot out of it. I know that I did, and it's so funny because I'll be honest. I kind of abandoned the content writing for a while. I was getting all socialized, and then I'm just like, you know what? Let me come back to my roots. My roots are in writing, in content writing, and doing that. So, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun for people who write. I should say that. I mean, it may not be fun for everybody, but it is so much fun to engage that way, and be able to write your story and write with your personality, and get it out there in that way. And if you can't, go get to goodmanlantern.com/subscription /sign up. Well, you say it. You tell them where to go after the show, Raj.
Well, what I'll say is Google us, Google Goodman Lantern, and on the top you'll see a free trial button. Click on it and then sign up to it. It's a quick and easy form to fill, and you can get a free trial of us as well. So I suggest go and do it now.
Awesome. Goodmanlantern.com. Everybody, they I think they got it. I think they got a good thing going on there. So please check him out. I'm so happy to got you on the show, and hopefully we can do this again, because I want to revisit this subject as well later on. I hope you be able to come back to us. But that's it. That's all for this show. Unless you have anything else you want to share before we get out of here, Raj.
I just want to say, Brian, thank you very much for the opportunity. I've really enjoyed the show, and lovely questions, and I love the energy as well. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Hey, honored, man. Honored to have you on here. Thank you so much, everybody.